Looking for some digital magic to help you through your week? The Kingdom Report is here for you, covering the latest Disneyland and Disney World news, experiences, and events. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Kingdom Report Live so you never miss an update. And drop a subscribe on the Kingdom Report YouTube channel for new videos every week. Don't miss out. Join this growing community of theme park fans as we aim to connect you to more of what makes you happy. For more information, visit KingdomReportLive.com. And now, back to the magic.
They represent beauty, grace, and delicacy.
Dragon dance is one of Mulan's favorite traditions. She learned from her ancestors that the wise and powerful dragon dances across the sky to scare away bad luck and bring good fortune, they believe.
When Mulan was a little girl, her mother taught her that traditionally, the ribbon dance was performed for royalty as an expression of gratitude and honor. Mulan loves the swirling colors of the ribbons. Mulan learned to respect the strength and discipline of the martial arts from her father. This century's old art form celebrates a rich heritage of bravery and honor.
Remember those carefree days of childhood where the magic still existed? When you didn't feel guilty about eating mountains of cereal with, we'll just say, questionable nutrition? Well, now you can have your cereal and you can eat it too. Because Magic Spoon has re-engineered that same great taste with grown-up ingredients for an absolutely game-changing Cereal 2.0. I adore cereal. I treasure cereal. It's one of my favorite things to eat, but I just can't justify eating mounds of sugar in every bowl. I don't need to worry about that with Magic Spoon, because it's high protein, low carb, and 0 grams of sugar in each serving. I know, it's hard to believe, but it also comes in 6 delicious flavors: frosted, fruity, cocoa, cinnamon, blueberry, and peanut butter. Plus, they've got limited edition flavors released throughout the year, like gingerbread or peaches and cream. So taste that magic of childhood all over again and get yourself some Magic Spoon cereal. Plus, take $5 off your order at checkout. All you got to do is insert the promo code Kingdom Team. That's right, Kingdom Team at checkout will get you $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com. That's magicspoon.com. Promo code Kingdom Team. Disney News Talk Live is on. Hey everybody, wait for the Kingdom Report. So glad to be back with you live once again. We've got lots of Disney news to talk about today, lots of things to share with you, and we are going to be getting to all of it here very shortly. Big stories this week coming out of the Disney parks and the Walt Disney Company. No doubt about it, you are going to be settling in for some real eye-opening discussion, no doubt. Of course, if you've never been a part of this broadcast before, you do need to know this is all about your opinions, your Disney parks experiences, everything you come across, everything you have encountered. We want to hear from you. So when we do Kingdom Report Live, our studio show where you see our ugly mugs chatting back at you, usually that is about our opinions, our takes on things. This show is dedicated to you, your thoughts, and what you think ultimately. So we want you to drop us a comment on into either our YouTube live chat or our Facebook live chat. Either one is fine. We will see it and you'll be a part of the show. We will feature your comments here. That drives the discussion of the broadcast, and that is what we want to see. So make sure that you are actively engaging with all the topics, all of the things that we are going to take a look at today. That is the name of the game. You gotta participate. Otherwise, you're just going to be hearing from myself and Gared Hassel, who'll be joining us here in just a second. Before we get too far down the road, though, we do like to reward you for being a part of these broadcasts. If you are somebody who's watching live or somebody who's watching on demand, you can get yourself your very own Kingdom Report mug. I know they are the hottest commodities. They are the thing that everybody seeks to get for themselves, for their morning cup of joe. All you got to do to win your own Kingdom Report mug is leave the comment underneath this very video on our YouTube channel. As soon as the live video is over, you'll be able to leave comments underneath the video, and all you got to do is leave the phrase that pays this week, and the phrase that pays is none other than Festival of Fantasy. That's right, Festival of Fantasy is the phrase that pays. That is what you'll need to be doing for the sake of getting yourself your very own Kingdom Report mug. So you have until now and Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. That's Monday the 7th, 8 a.m. Pacific time. So if you happen to watch the show after the live broadcast, that's perfectly fine. You have between now and Monday morning at 8 a.m. to leave that phrase that pays in the comment section underneath this video on our YouTube channel. If you leave it in our Facebook page underneath this video, that will not qualify you. It has to be on our YouTube channel, the Kingdom Report on YouTube. You need to drop it in the comment section just beneath the video. As soon as the live video is over, you'll be able to do that. Festival of Fantasy is the phrase that pays. And once again, so grateful to have you with us. Lots of stories to get to today. As the title might suggest, we're going to be talking about how Disneyland attraction wait times have changed since reopening. So quite a few Disneyland attraction wait times have been, we'll just say, adjusted for the sake of the new crowd patterns. Quite often we see nowadays with the new Genie Plus service, all kinds of, we'll call them unique nuances. We'll call them things that we just haven't dealt with before. And now there is some data to back up the new wait time reality at the Disneyland Resort. We're also going to be chatting about Abigail Disney's new documentary. This is Walt Disney's grandniece, I guess. So this is Roy Disney's granddaughter. So Abigail Disney, one of the few Disney family members still sort of actively involved in at least calling out the Disney Company, the Disney organization. She has a new documentary that is calling for better treatment of Disneyland's entry-level employees. We will definitely break that down for you here today. Festival of Fantasy Parade, stage shows, all kinds of entertainment is returning out east at Walt Disney World as they continue to recover from the pandemic shutdown. Some really exciting news on that front that we can't wait to share with you. And Disney World's top rival is getting ready to fight big time in 2025. I know what you're thinking, and I'm thinking it too. What is Disney going to do to counter? I can't wait to see what happens as we approach 2025. We are going to be definitely discussing that story a little bit more later on. Magic Key annual pass holders are getting their own Club 33. At least that's what an Imagineer is saying. We're going to take a look at that and really try and understand whether or not that's real. And then New blue signs are debuting all across Walt Disney World property. New property signs, directional signage that is replacing the red, purple, and green signage that we are so used to. Is now going to be a thing of the past. So lots of changes going on at the Disney parks, lots of stories to touch on this week during Disney News Talk Live. Once again, thank you for being a part of the live show. If you are a part of the live show, make sure that you are commenting, interacting, and sharing your thoughts with us, because that is what this broadcast is all about. And to kick things off today, just had a question for you regarding a hypothetical. So say we were able to bring back Walt Disney from the dead. Say we were able to bring Walt back today. If so, and you were able to ask him one question, what would that question be? I think I've asked this question of various cast members that used to work for me at Disney. I would ask this question of people that really have a vested interest in the organization, because Walt Disney is seen as sort of a visionary, a hero to many, especially when it comes to creativity. So if Walt Disney was brought back to life today, what one question would you ask him? Leave that in our comments. Go ahead, live chat back with us. We want to hear what one question you would ask Walt Disney if he was brought back to life today. So he would know what was going on, right? So we bring him back to life here in 2022. He would know what's going on. He would know what the heck's happening. You got one chance, one shot, as Eminem would say. One shot to ask Walt Disney a question. What would that question be? We will be getting to your responses here very shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining us today to chat all things Disney Parks news is our very good friend, Gared Hassel. Gared, what's up, man?
Hey, howdy, hey, everyone. Good to see you. Metaphorically speaking, of course, I'm doing good. You know, it's a new year. That means lots of opportunities, and let's make 2022, I almost said 2023, but let's make this year an even greater one. You know, experience more magic and, you know, just have more enjoyment. But happy to be back. Good to see you, Wade.
Likewise, yes, metaphorically. Great to have you along with us, too. And you are relatively fresh off of a Disney Cruise Line vacation, my friend. And
that is true.
I need to hear some details. If you were to share with folks maybe a handful of things that they can expect from a future vlog of yours. Certainly, you recorded a lot on the ship. Please, what do people have to look forward to? You were on the Disney Fantasy right in the midst of like the Omicron surge, where the CDC basically said, hey, we know what we said before about rules when it came to cruise ships. However, now we're just saying nobody should cruise. And you were on the ship right at that moment.
Yeah. Leading up to the cruise, ours was over New Year's. It was very unique because leading up to it, we're thinking, is it going to be canceled? It's like, okay, it's a week before. Okay, it's 3 days. It's the day before, and never got canceled. So we were very, very fortunate to make it on board. And the Fantasy is incredible. There are 4 ships currently: the Magic and the Wonder. Those were the first 2. Then you have the Dream and the Fantasy, and upcoming soon, this summer, is the Wish. And it was absolutely incredible. A few things I have to share are just, there are things for everyone on the boat, whether you are older and you don't like Disney, or whether you are younger and are all about Disney, whether you love the characters, like you can see Donald and Daisy right there. The characters are always on board the ship. You never know who might be showing up, but it's always a treat because they have different outfits, they interact with you, and even though you can't hug them and everything, and it's socially distanced on the boat, it is so magical just to see Mickey and Minnie waving at you. And ironically enough, there are some times where there is no one in line and the characters are just sort of walking around the ship. I caught I think Daisy just one day hanging around in the atrium and no one was around her. So I hung out with her for like 15, 20 minutes, just watching her run around. So characters are a major aspect of the food. Oh my gosh. Wade, I know you and I talk a lot about Disney food. Food on the Disney Cruise Line is almost in another category than what's in the park, because on a cruise ship you have, oh sorry, my watch is talking to me. There's a finite amount of food on the boat because it's a boat, and I don't know what it is, but it's all cooked fresh. It's not always, you know, made hours in advance and then it's, you know, slopped out to everyone. for me, the best dining experience was Remy and Paolo. Those are the two exclusive, almost Michelin-starred dining experiences on the ship. In order to go and experience those, you have to be over the age of 18. But once you're there, it is amazing. It's a steal of a deal. For Remy, I believe it's 125 per person, but this is like a 6 or 7 course dinner, not including alcohol, and it is amazing. We had like scalloped moose. It's where they take a scallop and make it into like a moose foam. I don't know how they do it. It's magic for sure, but the food is just surreal. Even in the normal dining rooms, whether that is animated palette, which is probably one of the coolest ideas of a restaurant ever conceived. It's where you're pretty much in an animated room like you would at like the Disney Studios in Burbank, and it comes to life around you, whether drawings come alive on the wall, or Crush will talk to you, or you create your own art and it comes alive. It is a really wild experience, and the food there is amazing. Yeah, food is definitely a major part of it, but there's so many different festivities. The stage shows are Broadway caliber, and they do a dang good job. I felt like a kid again, and I was like they had fireworks on stage. I didn't know that was allowed on a cruise ship, but they allow it. But to say, the Disney Cruise Line is a unique experience, and it's something separate from the parks. It's different than the movies. And you can pretty much do whatever you want. If you want to lounge around and just watch the coastal blue waters of the Caribbean, boom, you're good to go. If you want to, run around and eat all day long like I did, boom, you're good to go. Even the spa there, it's immaculate. Like the cruise line, Disney did it right. And if you haven't seen how they created this thing, watch the Imagineering story on Disney Plus, and you can see how they created it and how they put so much magic into these boats, because it's a work of magic, to say the least. But I had a great time, and I look forward to when the vlog does come out, so you all can experience that along with me.
Hopefully we'll be seeing that vlog by the end of next week. Very much looking forward to seeing all of your journeys and the entire experience out there on the Disney Fantasy, where you basically have that ship to yourself. So what a nice treat.
Yeah, the ship was about at 50% occupancy, and that's because of COVID restrictions. But then even before you get on, you have to get tested, and anyone that tests positive, they don't get to go on board. They get their money back, but that just lowers the amount of people on the ship. So there were times where, I had an entire, like, almost floor on the ship to myself, where I'd walk around. I didn't see anyone other than cast members. There were, I'm pretty sure, one cast member per guest. It felt like that at times. And the cast members on the ship, or the crew members, I should say, are top tier, and no one beats them. Like they make the in-park cast members look kind of wimpy, because these guys are on it. They rock.
That is the hallmark touch of the Disney Cruise Line. That is the great joy, I think, that the level of service brings at the Disney Cruise Line roster of ships, and that is that there really is a great deal of crew members ratio to guests that just can't be matched on land. And it's kind of incredible. I never, on my Disney Wonder cruise, never did I want for anything. I was approached probably every 10 feet or so by another crew member who asked me if they could do anything for me, or asked me if they can help. And I was just like, gosh, this service is just over the top. And yeah, it puts anybody else, including myself, a former cast member, I know you are too, puts us to shame on land, that's for sure.
It made me reflect and think, wow, I really did not do a good job compared to these guys, because a lot of them are from other countries, Indonesia, Philippines, South Africa. They're from around the world. It's very rare to actually find an American crew member on board, unless it's usually an officer or someone in the entertainment department. But they are so humble and so welcoming, and they learn your names. They probably manage 50 rooms at a time, and they know everyone's name. They knew my name, and I think, like, my name gets butchered all the time. So it was incredible.
Yeah, quite the international crew on all of these ships, and I find that a great part of the overall cruising experience, that is to get to know where everybody's from. And everybody's cultures and exactly what brought them to the cruise ship industry and what brought them more specifically, I guess, to Disney Cruise Line. And so I really have always enjoyed anytime I've been able to jump on board a ship. I've never been able to do the fantasy up until this point. I can't wait for everybody to witness what you went through on the fantasy. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Gabriel is chiming in here saying, what is the limit capacity at Disneyland this year? Gabriel, your guess is as good as ours, buddy.
Yeah.
They don't reveal those numbers. They've never really shared. We know what the fire department, like the fire marshal for Orange County says, but that is not revealed by the Disney company as what they let in, especially with reservations at this time of the year. So in this time of life, I guess we could call it as like a guest, a guest life, we are still in reservation mode, and they are restricting capacity to a certain degree. We just don't know by how much. So not sure, but the parks are very busy for the off season, that's for sure. Lori Jean, she is dropping in saying, hoping trams come back soon and Main Street Electrical Parade and Magic Happens comes back. Yes, Lori Jean. Yes, same here.
Magic Happens. That is an incredible parade, and I wish, in a way, Disney World had it because, it's. I think it's better than Festival of Fantasy. That's my personal take on it.
Whoa!
I know. That's a line has been drawn in the sand, but Magic Happens and Main Street Electrical. I got to perform in that, so my heart goes out to that. I hope that comes back soon too at Disneyland, where it belongs.
Where it belongs. Well, Magic Happens barely had an opportunity to make an impact at Disneyland. It ran for 2.5 weeks before the world shut down and it went away forever. So I agree, Laurie Jean. Hopefully we will see Magic Happens here very quickly. Dwayne has a question for you, Gared.
All right, Dwayne, we need to know from Gared when Disney is going to build the Gaston worlds. That is the question. In Gaston's mind, the world is his already. We're all just living in it. So in a way, it's already there. But I don't know if Disney's going to dedicate all to Gaston because he has very expensive tastes, and I think that would put Disney under. So for right now, he's just happy he has his tavern, and he runs the Disney parks. It doesn't matter where you go, whether that's Disneyland, Shanghai or Tokyo or Disney World. He runs it all. The Gaston is around the world, and everyone knows who he is because he's Gasto. Gaston, yeah, something like that.
Learn how to spell the name first before you sing the song, I guess.
It just appeared to me that I'm illiterate. I've never had to spell your name before. But
oh my,
Dwayne, remember this. Sometime in the near future on Disney Plus, we're getting a Gaston show about how he became Gaston, and it's going to win Oscars and Emmys and Nobel Peace Prizes, I'm sure.
No doubt about it. Nobel Peace Prizes are coming. Mike's Adventure says, what's up, everyone? What's up, Mike? How's it going?
That's good.
We also have from Dwayne here a question to Walt. So as we asked here just a few minutes ago, we were asking everybody, if Walt Disney were brought back to life today, what sort of one question, if you had the opportunity to ask him one thing, what sort of question would you ask him? And Dwayne says, question to Walt, what are your thoughts on Epcot not being built to what you envision? I've always wondered that myself. No doubt what he laid out as the vision of Epcot is not what we got, and it's dramatically different and certainly something that never lived up to its potential. Gared, when you think about one question that you might have for Walt Disney, if we brought him back to life today, what do you think you'd ask?
That's tough. I'd probably ask something similar to Dwayne, where what do you think of how the company is? Because I'm sure he would be proud of the fact that it is around the world and that his company brings so much joy to people. Because Walt was always about wanting to bring families together, and the ability to do that around the world. Now that Disney can do that, the sun literally never sets on a Disney park. He's able to do that, and so I think he'd be proud of that. But yeah, asking about Epcot, because his idea was a sort of a utopia of cultures coming together. But of course, him passing away, that dream never came to fruition. But asking him just what do you think of the company? I think that'd be a great question to take his insight, because he had a way of speaking and a way of explaining things that was almost philosophical. And I think he would be excited about Pixar. He would probably lose his mind over Star Wars just because he was always about the future. and Star Wars is like the perfect thing. And Marvel, like, I think he'd be all about the superheroes. So I think he'd be good in that way. Other ways, not so much. But I would like just his opinion, and probably ask him, "Do you like the cruise lines?" Because he loved cruising in his youth. Because there are many photos of him with Mickey Mouse in hand, with his wife on board a cruise ship, just traveling the world. So yeah, just asking him, what do you think about how the company is, something like that.
Interesting take. And Behind the Park says, "Hello, Kingdom Report. Thanks for your show." Well, Behind the Parks, thanks for being here. That
Yeah,
means an
thank
awful
you,
lot.
thank you for being behind the parks.
That's right. Get out in front of those parks sometime.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good view out there too. So, Judith, she shares that she would ask Walt if he would be her tour guide and walk the parks with him. She would want to see the parks through his eyes and exchange thoughts on what we both see and experience together.
Ooh, that's
Wow.
That's
Could you imagine just having an opportunity to walk with Walt Disney down Main Street, USA, and be able to
just having a conversation with him
Oh.
would be more than enough. Like getting to spend a day through the parks with him, dream come true.
Incredible. Thank you very much, Judith, for that. Robert says, "It's amazing how so many of them remember your name every day." I do believe he's referring to the Disney Cruise Line
Yeah.
crew members, no doubt. It is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the end of my cruise, the same thing was happening. It was like everywhere I went, they called me out by name, and I thought to myself, "You got to be kidding me!" It's
Yeah.
then I started to feel bad. I was like, and they're wearing name tags. I should start remembering all of theirs in the process.
Yeah, and on my cruise, like, we're all wearing masks. So for them to remember you just by your eyes and hair, and some people wear hats, and like our outfits change every day, and all they go by is what door you come out of. Like, they are on it. Our housekeeper Elaine, he was on it, and like there was 8 of us in our party, and he remembered every single one of us. It was incredible.
That is incredible, and certainly something that, it's like, again, we sing the praises of these Disney Cruise Line crew members, not only to be away from families for months at a time, but also to make probably the most memorable visits possible for people that, come on board. It's certainly a treasure. Many people only do one cruise in their lifetime, and these crew members absolutely are worth celebrating and appreciating. So I'm glad we were able to chat about that today. Green says 60% capacity, no doubt referring to what we were saying earlier about Disneyland and the capacity limits for what they are allowing at the moment. Green, again, your guess is as good as ours. There's nothing official. There's nothing put in writing about that at the moment. There are many days where it feels like it's significantly more capacity being let in. I know that they were a little bit more vocal about what they were letting in versus what they weren't at the beginning of pandemic restrictions, as they were sort of coming back to life, I think, as a way to make people feel more comfortable. But they got real quiet about that. So
Sometimes it feels like 110%, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, depending on the day. Like, you go during the holidays, it doesn't matter if it's, we're only allowing 40%, because that place is packed, and it doesn't matter. So yeah, I don't. Disney has some kind of special magical formula for capacity, I'm sure.
No doubt about it. And speaking of capacity, no doubt the wait times that come with increased capacity ticking up is always a concern. It's always a problem, especially now with the Genie Plus service being introduced and Lightning Lane becoming a part of our lives. It is something that more and more we are seeing as Genie Plus and Lightning Lane have taken root since December. Now Disneyland is active with it every day on most major attractions. And with that new influx on that end of things through the Lightning Lane, certainly that is increasing wait times for anybody doing standby waits. So let's dive into a little bit about how wait times have changed at Disneyland since they've reopened in 2021. The changes in wait times at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure since the year-long pandemic closure read like a timeline of the phased reopening of the Anaheim theme parks and the roller coaster ride of the COVID-19 pandemic's ups and downs. Thrill Data, which uses big data and statistical analysis to track theme park attraction wait times, has been collecting wait time data for Disneyland and California Adventure since spring 2019. Are wait times up or down at Disneyland and DCA? It depends on what time frame you look at. Over the long term, wait times have remained surprisingly steady according to data analysis of historical Disneyland and DCA attraction wait times collected by Thrill Data, comparing May 2021 through January 2022, since the parks reopened to May 2019 to January 2020 before the pandemic closure of the parks. In the 9 months since the parks reopened, wait times have inched up about a 1 minute on average across the resort compared to 2019 and 2020, increasing approximately 2 minutes at Disneyland and 1 minute at DCA. Since reopening, wait times have averaged 25 minutes at Disneyland from May 2021 to January 2022, compared to 23 minutes during the same period in 2019 and 2020, according to Thrill Data. DCA wait times rose to 27 minutes in 2021 and 2022 from 26 minutes during the same period in 2019 and 2020. Narrowing down the time frame shows the ebbs and flows of the past 9 months and the influences of new programs launched by Disneyland, loosened COVID-19 health and safety restrictions, and the uncertainties brought by the pandemic. Since June, when capacity limits were lifted, wait times are up about 3 minutes at both parks, according to Thrill Data. Since December, when the Genie Plus line cutting service launched, wait times have increased approximately 5 minutes across the resort. January had the highest wait times, 29 minutes at Disneyland and 31 minutes at DCA, since the parks reopened in late April, according to Thrill Data. August had the lowest wait times, 19 minutes at Disneyland and 20 minutes at DCA. A month-by-month look at attraction wait times reflects the changes taking place during the phased reopening of the Disneyland Resort. Disneyland and DCA reopened on April 30th after a year-long pandemic closure. Wait times were down 7 minutes at Disneyland and 12 minutes at DCA in May 2021, when the parks faced state-mandated capacity restrictions compared to the same time period in 2019, according to Thrill Data. Theme park capacity restrictions were lifted in mid-June, drawing huge crowds and long lines. Wait times rose 5 minutes on average in June and 3 minutes in July at both parks. The coronavirus Delta variant surged in the middle of the summer. Wait times dropped 4 minutes on average in August at Disneyland and DCA as travelers canceled plans. Disneyland launched the new Magic Key Annual Pass program in late August, and an increase in attraction wait times followed. The traditionally slower fall months of September up 3 minutes, October up 1 minute, and November up 2 minutes all saw increases in attraction wait times across the resort. Reservation requirements helped reduce traditional holiday crowds in December when an Omicron surge discouraged travel. December attraction wait times were down 1 minute on average at both parks. Disneyland launched the Genie Plus line cutting service in early December and replenished Magic Key reservation availability just before Christmas. January saw the highest increase in wait times since the parks reopened, up 6 minutes on average at Disneyland and 5 minutes at DCA. Our many thanks to the Orange County Register and Brady McDonald for that story. You know, Gared, I think about how these wait times ticking up just a little bit, especially in the off season where we're now seeing just far more people showing up in these quieter times. And I think it might have to do with maybe the Magic Key annual pass holders having more availability, certainly going through those wintry months and in Christmas time. Things were drastically restricted. So I'm now seeing just a whole lot more people visiting right now during a traditional off season. And that's sort of making me wonder whether or not people might rearrange their plans, because this is the time of year where people like to come, like right now and say September. Those are the times of year where traditionally it's been very quiet. Traditionally it's been quite slow. Not really seeing that anymore.
No, the off season is, I think, either going away or it's definitely slimming down significantly, because whether it's Disneyland or Disney World, February was the quiet time, or right after the new year, everyone's back in school, like middle of the week, you could go there and have the entire park to yourself. But now it's packed more and more and more, and it's getting busier. It really is. They may say the wait times only go up maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but the parks feel busier. The density is there, and there's not that quiet off season that you used to have. You have that at the international parks, but here domestic side, Disneyland never seems to have a quiet time unless you get really lucky or the weather is so bad that people want to stay inside.
I'm wondering if we are going to see a fluctuation around spring break and, with more restrictions obviously put in for the sake of those Magic Annual Pass holders, if we are going to witness perhaps a major downtick in traditional park goers, those day guests, as they call them, the ones that buy the tickets from out of town. I'm wondering if we are going to see a downtick as we approach spring break. This, of course, is very much what Disney has always wanted, and that is to fill in all of those times of year where traditionally it is considered to be off season with people, and so they're doing that to try and obviously elevate the financials and make sure that they have things being offered like the Lunar New Year celebration, Celebrate Soulfully, the Black History Month celebration happening now. These things are all being sort of infused during these off-season times to get more people interested in coming. And dare I say, at least at Disneyland, it seems to be working.
Yeah, it does seem to be working. There's always people there, so Disney is not, say, losing money like they would if the park only had, 60% of people on a February Wednesday, but now it's 75 to 80%. So they're definitely making that money back. And the Magic Key program is definitely unique in how they can easily sort of direct traffic and how they want people to come in. I think spring break, you want the day ticket people, you want the people that buy the multi-day because you make more money off of them. If you get someone that's a local, such as like you or Tyler or Katrina, you guys aren't as likely to spend as much because you can pop in, pop out, versus other people that are visiting from Northern California, Washington, or anywhere. They're going to spend a good amount of time and money in the parks utilizing everything that's there versus a local. So money is the thing that's going to be directing this whole thing, but I don't know if we will ever see a true off season again if this is how the trend keeps going.
They are certainly moving the chess pieces around and making it worth their while. And this is, like I said, what Disney has always wanted to do. And Mike's Adventures, he said here during our story that it really does come down to the fact that most people, and we've covered this in prior broadcasts, where most people are noticing once they're in the park that the wait times are not nearly as bad as what they are seeing posted once they get in line. And, we've covered this time and time again where, especially the Genie app, the new Genie Plus service that's requiring you to, buy your way into FastPass. This setup is something that we've witnessed on both coasts basically lie to us, and I don't know how else to say it. This has been shown not just with our own experience, but this has been shown multiple times with other people and other Disney fan media content creators. They've also experienced this where they've gone into rides thinking that these wait times are going to be astronomical because that's what the Genie app says. And then they get in there and the reality is that it's off by 30, sometimes 40 minutes or more. And I think I've said before, Gared, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's a rounding error, but 30, 35, 40 minutes.
That's placed there. Someone's placing that there. The Genie is supposed to be this all-powerful being that's supposed to, make your life easier. And here he is, granting wishes from Jafar, making things harder for people. And I don't get it. So Genie, you ain't never had a friend like me. We got your back, buddy. You can lower the times, make it more realistic. But it's like 10,000 years. Like he doesn't have a sense of time sometimes.
I've never considered that, but you might be onto something there. And now we throw it on over to all of you with wait times busier than ever in the off season, with data sort of supporting that now. When do you plan to visit Disney next? Do you traditionally visit like during the summertime? Are you a Christmas season person? What time of year do you visit? And are you reconsidering when you visit next? We would love to hear from you. Please leave it in the live chat discussion box, whether you are watching on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. We want to thank you for being a part of the broadcast. And my friends, you stick around after the break. We are talking about Abigail Disney's new documentary calling for better treatment, saying Disney has a moral obligation to treat Disneyland entry-level employees better. Yep, there's a lot of drama coming our way, and we're going to get to it next. Disney News Talk Live, you are hanging out with Wade and Gared from the Kingdom Report. And Gared, not only are the Straw Hatters wanting to be like you, but they are, in fact, one of my favorite little novel acts on Main Street, USA.
They are charming and a gem, and I wish Disney World had more live entertainment like them. I think Disney World in many ways lacks live entertainment. Like you've got, the Dapper Dans, they are a hallmark of it. And then you've got the Main Street Band, but like those little acts are just they attract a small little crowd, but like it enhances the whole experience. But yeah, that's why Disneyland just always has my heart. It will always have my heart. I love Disneyland so much.
By degrees. Yeah. By degrees, they elevate the experience with those small little acts in the corners of the park. And that's what makes it so charming, that's for sure. We asked before the break, if you are somebody that, based on wait times being elevated, and certainly data now supporting the fact that wait times are going up, and the traditional off-seasons are no longer the off-seasons, that crowds are being pushed around throughout the calendar year. If that's going to motivate you to change your travel plans, are you somebody that's going to reconsider what it is that you do when you make your Disney Parks vacation plans? Dwayne says that, I wonder, with more and more kids homeschooled or attending an online charter school, more families can go when they want to and not around a school schedule. Yeah, that's a great concept, Dwayne. And with especially the pandemic being what it has been, and sort of forcing people into online learning, and now many kids choosing to either remain, or many families choosing to have their kids remain on online schooling or in sort of a homeschool type atmosphere, it could certainly be something that plays into a shift in off seasons becoming new peaks.
Yeah, I that idea hadn't never come across before, because before, the world changed, homeschooling was very, very small. But now with people's, homeschooling and having more, I guess, more free time to direct your kids, that could be it. And I say, hey, if you want to take your kids out to Disneyland and have them experience the parks, but at the same time still get a good education. Don't get me wrong. You please do not skip school just for the sake of Disney World and not do any school. I think that's a great idea. I think you can learn a lot at the Disney parks, whether that is about watching people, or getting to experience things. And I think expanding your horizons and getting to experience imagination is a learning tool in a way. So yeah, if your kids are homeschooled or online charter school, take them to Disney World. But that could be why there is an uptick during the off season.
A lot of learning opportunities at Disney parks, that's for sure. Thank you, Dwayne. And Tinker Shell shares her thoughts, saying, I would be at Disneyland every week if I didn't live 400 miles away, rather. Christmas time is a must-do, but I come whenever I have an opportunity. And yeah, that's, Christmas season, that is the time when it seems like everybody shows up no matter what.
Mhm.
And it's kind of maddening to go to Disney after like December 1st because it's just wall to wall all the time.
Oh, yeah, it's quite insane, whether that's Disneyland or Disney World. Christmas time, you want to go to Disney. No one does Christmas better than Disney. And for me, the one reason I would go to Disneyland at Christmas time, Haunted Mansion Holiday. I know you can go
Mm.
during the fall, but it's like it's even better at Christmas time. And then walking down Main Street with all its decorations, it's just it makes you feel that warmth inside during the holiday season.
Nobody does it better than Disneyland, that's for sure. And, I was sort of disappointed with the Magic Kingdom this year at Walt Disney World as I ventured on out for Christmas time there. And, not only did we kind of mock it on this show where I played for everybody the really ridiculous Christmas tree lighting.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
something special. Check it out, everyone.
it was something else. But just in general, Magic Kingdom, I think for the sake of the 50th anniversary, did not go all out like they usually do for Christmas. And so they were trying to weave in a little bit of Christmas, but keep it mostly 50th because they're like, well, this is what people are coming for. It's about the 50th. And it was kind of a letdown just, aesthetically. You go kind of expecting to be wowed by the Christmas spectacular of it all, the spectacle that is Christmas. And yet I just wasn't feeling it this year. And you go into Disneyland, I was like, all right, now I'm getting smacked up the side of my head with Christmas, and this is what I need. Yeah, this is great.
It's sad when there's more holiday Christmas magic at Animal Kingdom than there is at the flagship of Magic Kingdom. like, oh, they brought out the little polar bears. That's more magical than the Mickey's Christmas Time Parade.
Yes, yeah, no, great point. And Tinkershell says, to clarify, Christmas time to me is prior to Thanksgiving. So she's one of those, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Hey, like at the end of Thanksgiving, or November 30th, that's Christmas. Christmas for Disney is 3 months long almost.
yeah, Tinker, Christmas to me is November the 2nd. So, traditionally I try and milk that season for all that it's worth because I feel like it's here and it's gone. And you don't get an opportunity to really enjoy it because it happens so darn quick. So at any rate, thank you so much for sharing that. All right. We are going to move along here to the next big story, and that is Abigail Disney is the grand niece of Walt Disney, the granddaughter of Roy Disney, the company co-founder, Walt's brother, and she has recently come out. She's been very outspoken anyway, but for years, as a matter of fact, we've heard from her many a times. But she says that Disneyland in particular has a moral obligation to lead change in the corporate treatment of employees. And she has just released a new documentary chronicling all of that, as well as using it as sort of a springboard to initiate an open letter conversation with the former Disney CEO Bob Iger and current CEO Bob Chapek. The story is fascinating, and she is not backing down. Let's dive right in. When it comes to criticism of the Walt Disney Company, an heir to the Disney fortune might not be the source that immediately comes to mind. But for the past few years, Abigail Disney, granddaughter of Walt's brother and company co-founder Roy Disney, has been engaged in a very public fight over the treatment of its employees. And Abigail Disney's new documentary, The American Dream and Other Fairy Tales, which premiered at Sundance Film Festival last month, she follows 4 Disneyland cast members as they struggle to make ends meet on what the park pays them. Disney compares the way her great-uncle Walt and grandfather Roy regarded and compensated employees to what they're currently paid. When the park was built, the film asserts, full-time cast members could largely afford to purchase homes and support families on their Disneyland salaries. Under recent working conditions, according to a study by Occidental College and the Economic Roundtable, published in February 2018, 11% of Disneyland employees reported experiencing homelessness in the previous 2 years, 68% were food insecure, and 73% said they do not earn enough for basic living expenses. Disney speaks to cast members who report knowing coworkers who have had to sleep in their cars, choose between medicine and food, and struggle to provide necessities for their families. One married couple, who were interviewed in the film both before and during the pandemic, both worked full-time at Disneyland before the park's closure. They said they still fell below the poverty level for a household with 3 children, even in a dual-income household. By the end of last year, the husband had left Disneyland, saying he was feeling the effects of years of physical work and the toll it had taken on his body, while his wife was on unpaid medical leave. They don't have Disneyland's health insurance, they said, because they can't afford the premium on what the park paid them. Quote, "It's just hard for me to imagine," Disney says in the film, while in conversation with her sister, Susan Disney Lord. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I cannot see Roy Disney taking $66 million home for a year's work in the same year when at the same company people can't afford food. I just don't see that happening, close quote. That would never have happened, Lord responds. That would never have happened. The $66 million Disney references in that conversation refers to then Disney CEO Bob Iger's 2018 salary. That's 2,000 times the salary of a Disneyland custodian, Disney says later in the film. In other words, a custodian would have to work for 2,000 years to make what Bob Iger makes in one. But rather than blaming Iger or current CEO Bob Chapek for the inequity at the company, the film uses Walt and Roy Disney's origin story as an argument that the Walt Disney Company can and should lead by example in affecting change in corporate America's treatment of its employees. The Disney Company, Abigail Disney said in the Sundance question and answers session after the film's streaming premiere, is so uniquely placed in American culture. It has this incredible redemptive capacity to lead other companies into the new century, and this new period of understanding that it's not only shareholders who matter, employees matter, communities matter, close quote. Disney has taken her fight to Congress. In 2019, she testified before the House Financial Services Committee, which is featured in the documentary. Quote, "The people who spend a lifetime at the lowest of the wage spectrum deserve the dignity of a living wage," Disney said to the committee. "This is a moral issue. The burden is not just on Disney, and Disney is a long way from being the worst offender. Disney could tomorrow raise the salaries of all of its workers to a living wage. It was possible to do this when my great-uncle and grandfather built the company. It's possible now. The idea that a company is solely to maximize profits, that is simply not true," Disney said. Companies have a moral obligation to their employees. Disney also said in the film that a Disney lobbyist had been working behind the scenes, pressuring both sides to prevent me from speaking to the committee. The Walt Disney Company spent $3.4 million in lobbying expenditures in 2021, according to OpenSecrets.org. Quote, "This widely reported stunt is a gross and unfair exaggeration of the facts that is not only a misrepresentation, but also an insult to the thousands of employees who are part of the Disney community," a Disney Company spokesperson said following Disney's testimony, according to CNN. "We strongly disagree with this characterization of our employees and their experience at Disney." Though the company declined to participate in the documentary, Bob Iger did respond to Disney's request for comment. Quote, he acknowledged the problems his workers were having, but he suggested that the government was failing them and that simply increasing their pay wouldn't solve their problems, she said. He referred me to the head of HR, who told me about the company's free education program, which is nice, but it doesn't pay the rent, close quote. In December, unions representing cast members at Disneyland negotiated a new 3-year contract for about 40% of park employees, raising their starting pay from $15.50 to $18.50 per hour, according to the OC Register. The minimum wage in California is $15 an hour, according to data from the Council for Community and Economic Research. The cost of living in Anaheim is 44% higher than the national average, and housing in Anaheim is 118% higher than the national average. Last year, 25,000 cast members sued Disneyland for a living wage, claiming that the company was obligated to pay more because of the city's financing of the Mickey and Friends parking garage. The suit was dismissed. Our many thanks to Julie Tremaine of sfgate.com for that story. Gared, a very sensitive topic, to be sure. I remember working at Disneyland for a very long time, and I was in leadership at the time when we had received word that a cast member had been found in their car where they lived because they were homeless. They had been found in their car dead one morning and had passed away due to inadequate medical care. I still don't know necessarily if they were aware of their condition or if it was sudden. I didn't know all the details, but I remember that really shaking and rattling sort of the leadership and the HR structure at Disneyland specifically, to a point where, I guess in Disney's defense just a little bit, they now have outreach programs for the sake of making sure that number one, no cast member remains homeless, that there are resources and opportunities to try and prevent that. But that on top of it, if there is a situation where somebody is living in their car, somebody is sick, that they want those cast members to come talk to their leaders. They want those cast members to contact human resources because they do have various benefits available that they might not necessarily have for the sake of benefits associated with the role, but there are company-sponsored benefits that are open to everybody that might need them. So I do recall that happening, and that was a very tragic instance where this sort of a story, this documentary, this idea that there is a moral obligation for the company to step up and sort of lead the change in the business industry. It reminds me of that story. It reminds me of that experience. And there's plenty of comments that were left. We did a separate news video about this, and it was separate and very different. It still covered the same subject matter, but it was a different story altogether, sort of taking a different angle when it comes to the documentary that Abigail Disney has put out. And there were all kinds of comments that were left on that video, and it is still attracting a lot of attention. Alicia Rodriguez says, my best friend worked at Disneyland for 8 years. She just quit last month. Her seniority didn't mean a thing to Disney. People who worked there for less than a year would get the shifts she asked for example, and she would tell me all of her horror stories. The cast members go through a lot for us, she says. Douglas says, these are the people, they keep the magic alive at Disney parks. They absolutely deserve a full pay living wage. Kimberly Moore says, without the cast members, none of the parks would run smoothly. They deserve a living wage for the dedication to their jobs. Orange Grove 55 says, in this doc, I hope Abigail also addresses the ridiculous cost of living in California, which she does, as referenced in the story. I feel Disneyland is a symptom, he says, of a much bigger problem in the state. Dwayne says, who's also in live chat today, he says the discrepancy at many companies between the executives and the average worker is staggering in this country. Disney is just another prime example of this. And Melissa Jensen says, I agree, Disney needs to up the ante for wages, but how about looking at how the state is run and the officials making it so expensive? That is something that we also referenced in that individual story, the separate video that we did about it. In particular, whose job is this to fix? Whose responsibility is this? Is this a more so a lawmaker realm? Is it up to lawmakers to try and help curb the homelessness and the entry-level jobs paying so little? Is it up to the business itself because it's free market capitalism? Or is it personal responsibility? If you don't like what you're making, you quit and you go somewhere else and you find another place to make more. Easier said than done sometimes, but I think that one of the really great points in the story is just how expensive it is to live in Orange County, California.
Yeah.
It's 100. I mean, did you hear that statistic? Over
Yeah.
100%, 100 and
That is
change
that's
to
and
live here.
that's more expensive than probably I believe San Francisco, like when you're doing a comparison of it,
It's
and
pretty bad.
California is a very expensive state. I of course no longer live there, but from family and friends that live there, like the cost. It goes into everything, whether it's food, housing, utilities, and everything. California is not a cheap place. California is given that sort of glitz and glamour of like, oh, this is the state where things happen. This is Hollywood
Right.
land.
The Golden
Um,
State.
yeah, it's the Golden State, but yeah, like this subject, of course, very touchy. Um, but it's not a this is not a one trick fixes all sort of thing where it's like, oh, like take away some compensation from executives and that will make things better. It goes far beyond that. Like this is and like what you said, it could go up to policymakers. It's an economic thing. It's more than just a company thing. And um yeah, at the end of the day, Disney is we live in a capitalistic society where it's all about making money. And um I'm curious to see how this documentary goes. I really want to watch it and just see like from Abigail's perspective, like what she looks at. I'm glad that Bob Iger chimed in because he's always sort of been the front man for Disney and being like, hey, we're the good guys. So I'm not surprised though that Disney didn't want to participate in the documentary since Abigail's been pretty much been throwing shade at them for almost decades.
I mean, I also wonder if it would have been more beneficial had they just embraced it. She is a namesake of the company. She
Hmm.
is an heiress of the organization. It's not like, this is some sort of, journalist off the street or somebody
Yeah.
that's trying to get Disney because they're an evil corporation. This is this is a co-founder's granddaughter.
Yeah.
This is a namesake for the organization. So it's not like this attention's going to go away either. She has
Hmm.
been pushing for a long time. And I almost wonder if maybe they should have embraced the documentary and tried to come to an understanding, or at least painted the picture that may have been a little bit more caring, a
Yeah.
little bit more gentle, if you will, for the sake of just putting the best foot forward as an organization. Because again, this is the granddaughter of the co-founder of the company. Again, this isn't some no-name or even big-name journalist. This is a namesake of your organization. So I think perhaps they should have gotten involved and at least tried to find some common ground. I also am very interested in hearing what Bob Iger specifically meant when he said the
Yeah.
government is failing
Yeah.
them and now go talk to HR. I want to know exactly what he meant by that. Like
Yeah.
who at what level and why, what specifically, I'm really fascinated because if that's his view on things, then no doubt that helped guide his decisions while he spent the last decade and some change as CEO.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when you call out the government, you got to be more specific. Is this city? Is this state? Is this national? Is it international? Like, of course, probably not international, but yeah, government plays a role in any business because government helps regulate so that the company doesn't become either too powerful to whatever. There's checks and balances. Um, but what I notice is it seems like almost every couple decades, there's always someone of the Disney family fighting with executives at Disney.
Yep.
In the 90s and early 2000s, you had Roy E. Disney fighting with Eisner, and
Yeah.
we all remember that. That was huge. There were full on almost riots, and now you've got Abigail, who is I don't know if she's more or less vocal, but she's now fighting with I think she's not trying to fight personally with like either of the Bobs, but more so just the company as a whole. But since she is a family name, since she is a namesake of Walt and Roy, I don't know, maybe having her be involved in some way. Like I'm not talking necessarily like being on the board of directors, but having some involvement like would be good as PR or would help save face or something where like if she's a part of it, then she can't be the one pointing fingers because she can be a part of the solution. Like that'd be the smart thing to do. Be like, you know
Yeah.
what, we want you on board. But yeah, this is going to be a subject that goes on for eons and eons, and um, like there are situations out there that are hard, and my heart goes out to any cast members like that. But yeah, Disney is as America's company in a way. It's been longer than most, and I'm sure that there will one day be a solution where everyone's happy. But I don't get paid enough to come up with that solution, unfortunately.
You're so optimistic. How great. Mike's Adventures says, I believe Disney already does a great job with its cast members overall compared to many other companies. I have friends that work there still and have worked from the ground up.
Mhm.
Most are in management or in a role where it is a livable wage and not live too far from work. And,
Yeah.
I'll share with you, Mike, it is a very expensive geographical region, that's for sure. And we talk about livable wage. I believe that I questioned it in the standalone video story where we just covered this story as its own video. That I think Disney needs to be very clear about whether or not these entry level jobs are intended to be living wage positions or just an after school job or a retirement job. If this is not, if these roles are not meant to be life sustaining, career driven positions, and I know many entry level jobs are not considered that, right? You work your way up, you grow. If you're motivated, you achieve more, all of that. I understand that. But I think Disney needs to make it very clear what these jobs are, because I think that's where a lot of the confusion is coming in. You hear in that story from many of the entry level folks that Abigail Disney followed saying, well, I think my custodial job, my full-time custodial job, should be enough to put food on the table and a roof over my head. Well, but does Disney feel the same way? Does Disney think that entry-level job is significant enough to be a career level position and should be compensated as such based on the pay? I sure don't think so. But I think that they need to be clear about that.
Yeah, things are not like how they were in, the 60s and 70s, where you could get this entry level job and that would, be able to fuel your whole life and give you more than enough money to, buy the house, buy the car, raise a family. Yeah, if it's entry level job like what you and I have seen in our life, whether it's like, the McDonald's, the Starbucks, or like working at the movie theater, like that, like working in a movie theater is not always intended to be your whole thing. If you're just the ticket taker, like you either got to move up or you got to move on to the next thing. So yeah, it's interesting, but how Disney defines it is a clear thing, because you never hear in the commercials like, oh, they say come be a part of the magic and this will pay for your whole life. You never hear that. You hear come be a part of the magic, and on the website, like it says whether it's a salary or it's an entry level position. So there's that too.
Absolutely. And I know that in the last couple of years, as referenced by the Disney statement that was put out, that the film referenced, the organization recently brought in, sort of that paid tuition for hourly cast members. And that was a very big deal. As a matter of fact, I was working as part of recruiting and casting. And when that came along, I was like, my gosh, what a tremendous sell point to come work for Disney. We're going to pay for your college, was something that we got to say in that position. That's an incredible gift when you think about it, giving back so much in terms of, education and leveling up, I guess is the way to put it. So, knowing that they also have that is pretty cool. But nowadays, a lot of the best companies do have things like that, do have benefits like that in line. But again, I go back to this idea of they need to be very clear about whether or not certain positions are meant to sustain people for the sake of like a living wage or not, and knowing that the statistics are against anybody living in Orange County, and that the just sheer amounts of charging that goes through your rent and your house payments and your car payments, mixed with inflation and all of the other things that are happening right now. No doubt a lot of cast members are underwater. So at any rate, we appreciate so much being able to discuss this sort of a topic. Let us know in the comment section what you think. Does the Disney Company have a moral obligation to lead American business in treating entry-level workers better? Is that more pay? Is that better benefits? What does that look like? You let us know in the comment section. Whether you're watching on demand or live, we want to thank you for being a part of the broadcast. It means so much to us, and there is plenty more of this very Disney News Talk Live coming up next. The post-holiday winter time used to reliably be a slower time of the year for crowds at Walt Disney World, but in recent weeks, wait times have soared and large crowds have filled the parks. With crowd levels now comparable to pre-pandemic levels, it's no surprise that Disney is reopening some of the final holdouts from their 2020 closure. The pandemic saw the longest closure in Walt Disney World history, with the parks reopening in July of 2020 after a nearly 4-month closure. With social distancing-related limited capacity, once the resort did reopen, many of the restaurants, entertainment, and entire hotels remained shut. Labor shortages, supply chain issues, and all the other pandemic-linked issues that we've all become so familiar with meant reopening a resort the size of San Francisco that lays claim as the largest single-site employer in the nation was no easy task. The reopening has occurred in phases over the past 18 months, with the evolving pandemic safety protocols being one of the primary drivers of each stage. As the latest variant wave is slowing, the resort is in the midst of yet another reopening phase. With a constant trickle of news coming from Disney, these phases can be difficult to differentiate. One Disney fan and podcaster in New Jersey, Matt Petalicchio, hoped to bring clarity to the extended reopening process by developing an index to better understand the progress made in reopening the resort. Inspired by the natural disaster-linked Waffle House Index that looks to the famed diner chain as an indication of recovery efforts following a disaster, the Disney Comeback Index marks how far along Disney World is in its reopening efforts. When the resort reopened in late June, before the parks themselves reopened, the index saw just 9.8%, buoyed mainly by Disney Springs. By the end of 2020, that had jumped to nearly 50%, thanks to multiple attractions and dining options having returned. Throughout 2021, the index slowly ticked up to close out the year just over 78%. Attractions, Disney Springs, dining, and the resorts have nearly all returned to their pre-pandemic levels, but entertainment and paid events and seasonal events are still far from their previous operations, with the index giving them a 56.3% and 47.58%, respectively. That will soon change, with more entertainment now returning to the parks in the coming weeks. The Magic Kingdom saw its first full-length parade return this winter when it welcomed the fan-favorite Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Time parade as part of its holiday offerings. But with that parade now gone for the season, the resort became paradeless once again. On March the 9th, the Festival of Fantasy Parade will finally return after a 2-year hiatus. Best known for the steampunk-inspired fire-breathing Maleficent dragon, the Festival of Fantasy Parade will celebrate its 8th anniversary on its return date. Prior to the parade's return, shows will return to the fully refurbished castle stage in front of Cinderella Castle when an updated Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair debuts on February 25th. In Frontierland, the Hoedown Happening will come back on February the 11th. This same day, we'll see the debut of a brand new character cavalcade at the Magic Kingdom. The character cavalcades, where Disney characters are shuttled through the parks on floats or vehicles, surprising guests as they pass, were initially in response to traditional character meet and greets being closed due to social distancing concerns, but they've proven extremely popular. Now, even as many of those character meet and greets reopen, the cavalcades look to be staying. At Hollywood Studios, the Fantasmic Lagoon has been filled, with the show's return imminent. Like other entertainment, the downtime for Fantasmic saw the show getting a refresh, with the extended Pocahontas scene now replaced with other Disney classics such as Moana and Frozen. A reimagined Finding Nemo musical will open at Animal Kingdom's Theater in the Wild later this year and, for the first time, will be updated to include elements from the franchise's record-breaking sequel. While no official news on a reopening has occurred yet, multiple Disney fan sites have begun reporting that the Hoop-de-Doo musical review is gearing up for a return very soon. In a recent episode of the Disney Dish with Jim Hill podcast, Touring Plans founder Len Testa noted that the ultra-high-end restaurant Victoria and Albert's at the Grand Floridian, while it may reopen soon in an effort to be considered in Florida's upcoming first round of Michelin reviews. Still, there's a surprisingly large number of items yet to receive a reopening date. There's been no indication on when or if the Spirit of Aloha dinner show will return to the Polynesian Village Resort. Also yet to return are several smaller attractions, some like the interactive Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and Enchanted Tales with Belle experiences. Those come as no surprise, as these require hands-on, close proximity interactions between cast members and guests. But others, like The Voyage of the Little Mermaid and Star Wars A Galactic Spectacular, both at Hollywood Studios, have few reasons to still be holdouts, leading some to speculate they may not return at all. Even as more things reopen and physical distancing now seems like a long-ago luxury when shopping at Disney Springs, it's crucial to remember we've yet to completely escape the grip of the pandemic. But as the Disney Comeback Index ticks higher, it gives an indication of how far we've already come. For the first time since the pandemic began, the index is expected to surpass 80% later this month. A big thanks to Orlando Weekly for that story. Very excited to see so many different entertainment offerings coming back to Walt Disney World. It is about time. Gared, you got any favorites, anything on your list you're looking forward to seeing?
I know I threw some shade at Festival of Fantasy, but seeing that come back, it's actually like it makes me very, very happy. That is an incredible parade. Like when that dragon, when Maleficent actually breathes fire, it gives everyone chills. It's like, oh, that's so cool, because it's like it looks like it's a real living beast, but it's magic come to life. And so I'm looking forward to that. When there's parades going on in the parks, that's when like it's really coming back. Parades and fireworks, like, and character meet and greets. When you have all that entertainment element together, it's when things start to happen. And probably my favorite part of that entire parade, I love the Merida section, because it's got awesome dancing, fantastic music, and Merida, she's just she's free thinking, she's powerful, and she's like Hawkeye, but not an Avenger.
Basically the same thing, right?
Pretty much.
No, I'm really looking forward to seeing Fantasmic once again. That amphitheater has been empty for far too long at Hollywood Studios. It is about time. It's an outdoor show anyway, so certainly that should be one of the first things to have come back, I would think, at least in preparation for the sake of safety and health. It seems like a no-brainer that an outdoor show like that would have been a really great idea. But now that it's finally sort of on the descent and coming down for a landing, I'm so pumped to see it. And then to hear also that there's a real potential for the Hoop-Dee-Doo musical review to return. That's going to be great.
I've never experienced Hoop-Dee-Doo review, so I know. I might as well just leave now.
You haven't experienced some of the best things of Disney World, and I don't know how that's possible.
I don't know. I don't know either. Like,
shame on your family. Shame on your home.
Dishonor.
Shame on your hair.
Oh, hey, whoa, that's taking it too far, friend.
I knew it. You'd be upset there.
But Fantasmic, I'm very pumped about it. The Disneyland version I find to be just a little bit more phantasmical, but the one out at Disney World has seating, and that park has kind of nothing to do when there aren't shows going on. So adding another thing, especially in the evenings, to attract crowds to pull crowds away from Galaxy's Edge, Tower of Terror, and Rock and Roller Coaster, that's a huge benefit. I'm still hoping that they will one day give it the renovation treatment that the one at Disneyland got, because that one is amazing, especially with all the new digital mapping and how Mickey even the choreography's changed, and adding Pirates of the Caribbean over Peter Pan. I think that if Walt Disney World did that, they could do it even bigger, because they have the area. Like during the day they can do stuff. Disneyland has to do it all at night, because during the day that park is open. Like the stage is always being shown. So fantastic. Come on back. Put Pirates of the Caribbean instead of Pocahontas, and have some Barbossa action in there with Captain Jack Sparrow, and just plenty of rum.
Plenty of rum, and it's your chance to talk back. Is there a Disney World show, parade, or experience you've been waiting to see return? We want to hear from you. Leave it in our comment section, whether you are watching on demand or live. We want to hear from you. And Gared, they better start bringing some entertainment back. They better
Oh,
start bringing
please.
more to make Walt Disney World a even more attractive place, because
Yeah.
in just a few short years, they've got some real competition on the way down the road.
Oh,
And
it's
that
gonna be
story,
it's gonna be a battle.
it's going to be epic, you could say. Let's take a look. With its theme park business booming despite a slowdown in international turnstile clickers, NBC Universal parent company Comcast is all in on completing its new and ambitious Epic Universe theme park. The cable, content, and connectivity giant announced during Thursday morning's earnings call that the new gated attraction, currently in the early construction phase near its Universal Orlando Resort in Florida, should open in 2025, and definitely in time for that year's peak summer travel season. It's been 3 years since Comcast unveiled plans for Epic Universe, including an initial opening date of 2023. The pandemic halted construction, but obviously more than just that is factoring into what will be a 2-year delay for the new theme park. With the new park located a couple of miles outside of Universal Orlando, the logistics remain to be solved on how they will transport visitors from one resort to the other through the heart of the area's tourist corridor, with several hotels and attractions that they don't own. A lot can happen between now and 2025, and that includes pushing out the opening date again. With its theme park's business bouncing back a lot faster than anyone expected, the real shame is that it wasn't able to stick to its original 2023 debut. Rival Disney is knee-deep into an 18-month celebration of the 50th anniversary of its Disney World resort in Florida. It will be drawing a lot of attention until the festivities conclude at the end of March of next year, including a pair of highly anticipated themed roller coasters opening in the next year and change. Disney World will likely take a breather in 2023, and that would have been an ideal time to strike the Central Florida market with a brand new theme park. Pushing Epic Universe out another 2 years will likely mean Disney World cranks out new tourist-luring attractions by then. The House of Mouse doesn't stand still for very long. There's also something to be said about momentum. Universal Orlando just capped off its most profitable quarter ever. Despite a surge in the Omicron variant in the Sunshine State, inflation and high gas prices that are keeping road trips in check, and international travel restrictions, Comcast's amusements arm is rocking. Revenue nearly tripled for the segment in its latest quarter. The year-over-year comparisons are kind. The original Universal Studios Hollywood Park in California was closed a year ago, and a new park just opened a few months ago in Beijing. However, even taking away all those variables, the Orlando-based resort has never delivered as well as it just did on the bottom line for Comcast. This is all made even more impressive considering that travel restrictions have kept a lot of foreign visitors away. Universal Orlando guests are typically just above 30% of its customer mix. Right now, it's clocking in at just 20%. There's a lot of upside just waiting to be tapped, and having a brand new gated attraction next year would have been a game changer, and even Comcast agrees. Quote, "One of the things I wish we could redo was slowing down Epic," CEO Brian Roberts said during Thursday's call. Our many thanks to The Motley Fool for that story. Epic is the word of the day, and
Yes,
I am
it
looking
is.
forward to this mega park finally pushing Disney back on their bum. What do you think,
Yes.
Gared? I mean, this thing is set to come. Obviously, the story, as we outlined there, it's already being pushed back for the sake of the pandemic and construction, but now it's aiming for 2025. How much of a difference do you think this will make in Central Florida?
Oh, it's going to be a huge game changer. We already know that Disney's moving its Imagineers out east to Orlando, and like that was a small move. And we had guessed, is that in response to Universal trying to up their game? But I, for one, believe that competition brings out the best in everyone, because if you're not competing against anyone, you don't know what to strive for. You don't know where to beat. But Universal, in the past few years, I'd say the past 5, 6 years, has been upping their game with Harry Potter World, and the Velocicoaster, and now Epic Universe, they are going to have Disney sort of, I'm going to say, stunned for a moment, because they haven't released any additional like pictures or graphics or anything for the new park. But just hearing the news that it's moving along and being right next to Disney has to make Disney execs a little nervous, because Universal is their main competition. SeaWorld, not so much, but this park, the way it looks incredible. They are building amazing things. The technology they're doing and the rides they're creating are more immersive than ever before. It's more than a simple roller coaster like it used to be. So if I was Disney, I would be a little nervous and start thinking like, all right, we got to up our ante a little bit. Granted, Tron and Cosmic Rewind are going to be epic, haha, but Disney's going to need something more, because I don't think the Galactic Star Cruiser is going to take it home and knock it out of the park. I simply don't.
They've already gotten very quiet about that, and we are fast approaching the launch date for the Galactic Star Cruiser. It's been one fumble after another over there, and then on top of it, they even removed their promo video that they had put out. I believe, I think it was the Christmas Day parade promo that they had filmed, and they took it down offline because it was getting such negative feedback. So, just a hop, skip, and a jump away from that baby opening up, and I don't think it's necessarily going to move the needle all that much. I mean, we'll see. I always wait and see, but this is very exciting to know that Universal is going all in theme park wise, and they want to create sort of the mega theme park for the sake of trying to knock Disney on their bum. And you're right, competition makes everything better. This needed to happen in Central Florida to try and force Disney into a place where they have to make things better on their end. That is what I'm most looking forward to, because we take polls pretty often here at the Kingdom Report, and one of the things that we've recently asked of our viewers is, do you feel like Disney parks are headed in the right direction? And a staggering amount of people said no, they've lost focus of the guest experience. 87% of our viewers, and these are Disney diehards, I would imagine.
I don't think we can do what Disney does, and those numbers aren't cooked like the wait times are. That's legit.
This isn't the Genie Plus app, my friends. These are real representative numbers. Excuse me. This isn't the Genie app. No. This is direct from you. The most rabid of Disney fans, I say the smartest of Disney fans, happen to be viewers and listeners of our broadcasts. The most intelligent and enlightened of all of the Disney parks consumers happen to be tuned into our shows, I think. And 87% say no, they've lost focus of the guest experience. 13% said yes, they're expanding and giving us more of what we want. So
I don't think Disney's listening. I gotta agree with the 87%. They're sharp. They like our people. They know what Disney's about, because many of them go weekly, if not monthly, and like we've got it on coast to coast. So I think our viewers, you guys listening out there, you guys know the deal.
And I would think that Disney, and this goes into a greater discussion that we don't have a whole lot of time for today, but it does go into a greater discussion of, all right, so people, they might be, less than satisfied when it comes to the product, and they feel that Disney's lost focus of the guest experience. But at the same time, revenue is still at an all-time high. It's still rolling in. People are still selling things out and purchasing items, and they're still going forward with all the things that Disney is putting out there. So there does have to be a breaking point at some level here. But I think more importantly, this representation, this 87% representation of people that feel that Disney parks are not headed in the right direction, this is the group that Disney needs to be terrified of, because they might still be buying things right now. They might still be consuming the products and selling items out and visiting the hotels and doing all the things on vacation. But this is the group, 87% worth, that are going to go down the road and try out the new Epic Universe, that are going to make an attempt on, because I don't know if you've heard, but in recent years, the service level, the hospitality level over at Universal Orlando has been celebrated over and over again for being like how Disney used to be. That's not good.
No, that's not. I remember I went there many years ago to Universal, and like I thought their guest experience was like, oh, this is guest experience kind of sucks. Like I didn't. I thought they were kind of rude to me. I didn't feel any like warm or welcoming. And then a few years ago, went for just a friend was in town for spring break, and I was like, it's like it flipped night and day. Where no matter where you went, they were more welcoming. They were celebrating. They were smiling at you. It felt like Disney cast members, and maybe they could be former Disney cast members that converted to working for Universal. That's always a chance, but I think Disney might have lost a little bit of focus because we're like, man, give us immersive technology, and then it's like, all right, we got Spider-Man. You put your arm out there and you flail it around, and we're like, we were kind of hoping for something a bit more, and then we're like, oh, no, what we want, like a real Star Wars hotel. Okay, well, it's gonna be $3,000, and you're gonna hop in the back of a van to go to Galaxy's Edge.
I mean, what a sell point. That's for sure.
I don't want to be in the back of a U-Haul, man. I've done that too many times when I was stupid and being a kid.
Okay. Walt Disney World has long been the juggernaut in Central Florida, with Universal expanding out for Epic Universe. I think that this might just be the counterpunch that Universal has needed to sort of gain some significant ground. Yes, Hogwarts and Harry Potter, I think have done a great service in pushing Disney to offer more, along with so much regarding, Pandora World of Avatar, and then also Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. That was really Disney's response to saying, you know what, we're going to be better. We're going to offer more. We have more IP. We're going to show you.
Yeah.
And if more like Pandora World of Avatar gets created in response to this, we all win, that's for sure. But that 80 plus percent there, my friends, 87% of people saying that Disney parks are going in the wrong direction. They are just waiting for somebody to come along and make it better for them, to offer something more, to make an experience greater. And if Universal can nail it with Epic Universe, then I think Disney might just lose a big portion of the market share of these very dissatisfied people that might still be going to Disney World because there's nothing better. But if Epic Universe comes along and wows us the way that they are claiming it will, I don't know, Disney, you might be in some trouble.
Yeah, Disney it's when you are on the top of the hill, when you're the king, you don't necessarily see who's going to usurp you. And Universal is climbing. They are tooth and nail climbing up this thing, and they are going to do everything they can to come out on top. So Disney better be ready. And I don't know if it's just the leadership that's changed and going from Bob Iger to Bob Chapek in terms of quality, or maybe it's the fact that like Imagineers such as Joe Rohde are no longer part of the company, and so you're wondering, where's the creative direction going? Are we going to be more stagnant than experimental and imaginative? But I'm looking forward to this battle. This is like Game of Thrones level stuff, where it's like, all right, Disney World's 4 parks and the size of San Francisco versus Universal's couple street blocks in a gridlocked area of Orlando. Disneyland has tons of land. Universal is reallocating all the land they have to make things work. So I got to give them major credit. And, I say bring on the competition to Disney, and let's hope Disney responds, because we're all about Disney on the show. But I'm all for a good battle.
Me too. Bring it on. Put on the gloves. Orange Grove 55 being an all-star with the super chat here. Thank you, Orange Grove 55, saying, to be frank, you won't see the van while in the experience. It's like judging Indiana Jones' adventure based on the show building as seen from the tram loading area. Yeah, Gared.
Oh, my bad. Oh, honestly, for years, I would look at the Indiana Jones from the tram loading area, and I always wonder, like, what is that?
What's that building?
but I don't know. I think it's the fact that from above, like from helicopter photos, you can actually see it's like a moving van. That's what gets me. But I won't judge it until I have the chance to experience it or see others who have experienced it. Who knows? It could be out of this world.
It could very well be. And thank you once again, Orange Grove 55, for the super chat. It means an awful lot to us. Moving along here to a story regarding what Magic Key annual pass holders have to look forward to. I don't know if you've heard, Gared, but out here on the West Coast, we have An exclusive restaurant dedicated to Club 33 members. Oh, excuse me, Magic Key members. I get
Oh.
confused because it's like our own Club 33.
Oh, it's like it. It's like, well, out of Disney World, we have 4 Club 33s, just to be specific.
But annual
no,
pass holders don't get in.
no, they do not. Bully, my friends.
Bully. Well, the Orange County Register is reporting that a Hacienda Hideaway that started life as a wine country restaurant high above Disney California Adventure will soon be transformed into a Club 33 style hangout where Disneyland Magic Key pass holders can relax and re-energize after a long day at the Anaheim theme park. Walt Disney Imagineering and Disneyland Cruise began work Monday, January 24th on a renovation of the Magic Key Terrace at California Adventure that is expected to be completed in late spring. The Magic Key Terrace will remain open throughout the renovation, with sections closed and capacity reduced on occasion during the project. The renovated Magic Key Terrace will serve as a hidden respite for annual pass holders, much like the private members-only Club 33 at Disneyland and 1901 Lounge at California Adventure. Quote, "When we started our Magic Key program, the park decided that it would be a really great thing to have a location for them that they could call their own, kind of like Club 33 has their own location," Walt Disney Imagineering's Kim Irvine said. Quote, "Now the Magic Key members have the same thing, which is really wonderful." While the renovated Magic Key Terrace won't offer the same elevated level of service and privileges as Club 33, you think? The Passholder Lounge will be a hidden, private, exclusive, members-only, second-story hangout, just like the famed spot above New Orleans Square. The Magic Key Terrace renovation will add new furniture, lighting fixtures, draperies, tile work, stained glass, and murals inspired by a pair of adorable animal mascots. Quote, "We wanted to make sure it was a very special place for Magic Key members," Irvine said during an online video interview. "We spent a lot of time on the detail, mood, environment, and energy of the place." I am someone who goes to great lengths to never poo-poo anything new and refreshed, and I'm looking forward to seeing this as a Magic Key annual pass holder myself. I'm sure it'll be very beautiful, but claiming and comparing that that this terrace that has been open and basically serving banquet food here for the last few months and some overpriced cocktails, to claim that this is going to be like Club 33. Ooh, this is a miscalculation in messaging, the likes of which I have never seen.
Their fists are going to be thrown. You're going to see fists flying. So for those that are unaware, Club 33 is a very exclusive organization that you can be a part of. It has a very high price tag associated with it, but you get a lot that comes with it. You're an exclusive member and so on and so forth. But to use the word their own Club 33 and all you do is, pay, like, what's the maximum cost of a Magic Key Pass? $1,000 or something, and you get your own like Club 33. That, I think, is an insult to those that are a part of Club 33 that are paying, 10 times more, if not even more than that. You could have said, we have an exclusive lounge for Magic Key Pass holders that you get to experience a lovely hacienda, and you get to experience, a place of solitude. But using the words Club and 33 in the same sentence together with something that isn't Club 33, that just sends chills. And if I was a member of Club 33, I'd be a little like insulted, be like, no, like you don't get it. It's not the same. But it is, yeah. Like how Christopher says, there are millions of Magic Key holders, very few 33 members, not very exclusive. I agree. Like Magic Key holder, I don't know if there's millions. That's a big number, but it's not the same thing. This is like saying that an airport lounge is the same as being a part of the Avengers. like that's the only comparison I can make right here.
Your comparisons are always fascinating to me. They really stretch the realms of imagination. Thank you.
I do my best, but it's like, oh yeah, like, I'm sorry, you're not part of the Avengers. You're just at the airport where the Avengers attacked. It's something like that. But I know Kim Irvine, she's great at what she does, but I don't like the word choice here, and I would Yeah, but hey, bully for the Magic Key holders and your cute
Bully.
little lounge, but please don't ever put a caption out being like, "Oh, it's like I'm in Club 33." Like, I feel like it'd be very touchy words.
I know that just prior to the shutdown of the annual pass holder program at Disneyland, there was just over 1 million annual pass holders that had that had been a part of
Yeah.
the annual pass holder program. So there was over 1 million at that point. They did say it was going to be significantly more restricted this time around, much more exclusive. However, I do think it's probably in the upper hundreds of thousands, probably close to that million point. They did stop selling the Magic Keys here not too long ago in certain categories, but I totally agree, Christopher. There are millions of Magic Key holders, very few 33 members. Amen to that. And yes, that 33 experience is second to none. I've been able to test drive it a few times upon Club 33 coming back to life after some refurbishments. I've also been invited up there a handful of times with some very well-connected friends that I never want to not be friends with because of their connections and getting folks in there. And Club 33 is unlike anything you might ever experience. So I hardly think that they're going to be able to recreate a similar experience in the Magic Key Terrace. Of course, we'll wait and see. Maybe we'll be surprised. I just can't imagine that being the case.
I don't know. If I was like a member of Club 33 and then also have my Magic Key, and I'm like, if they were identical, I'd be upset because what is all this money I'm paying for if they are identical? Like, there has to be some special premium so that you get that full experience.
No kidding. And Christopher also with a super chat. Thank you, Christopher, for thinking of us. Says this is all residual Iger stuff, not Chapek. Park stuff is set in motion years in advance. It certainly is. And I think that's something, Chapek gets a lot of blowback for a lot of things that are happening right now. And I think it really is an important point to note. And thank you, Christopher, for referencing it. It's like, all right, well, let's not forget that Iger probably signed off on this 5 years ago, and now it's just coming to fruition. And it really is an important point. And I often say, let's not forget that Josh D'Amaro is the chairman of Parks and Resorts right now, and that the chairman of Parks and Resorts prior to him was Bob Chapek. So he did have a hand at some point, I would imagine, in the mix here. So all things that definitely need to be considered when you think about something you see out there today, whether it be opening, new, fresh for us to indulge in, whether it be the Galactic Star Cruiser or some sort of new show or entertainment. Likely that came from the Chapek as chairman of Parks and Resorts era, as well as Iger as the foremost CEO. So once again, Christopher, thank you for the super chat. So appreciated. Dwayne says, Gared and Gaston have memberships at all Club 33s. Do you have something to share with us, Gared?
Absolutely. Gaston and I, like, we put our funds together, him significantly more than me, and we got Club 33s, but it's more like Sam's Club. We got 33 Sam's Club memberships.
I must have been confused by that.
I asked, can we do Costco? And he was like, nah, Sam's Club's where it's at. And I said, all right, Gaston, you buy the eggs, though, because he has a very high egg budget.
Dozens of them, I hear.
Yeah, it's 5 dozen now that he's grown.
Yeah, he has some unique worldviews, and especially that whole, women shouldn't be reading thing. It seems outdated to me. I don't know why you idolize him.
It's a questionable friendship, but he is so helpful at the gym.
I bet. Yeah, he probably spots you with one finger because that's all he needs.
Not even just looking, he has some kind of power.
How about that? Hey, in other news out at Walt Disney World, MSN.com is reporting that drivers traveling Osceola Parkway on their way to Walt Disney World may notice something a little different as part of the aesthetic changes happening around the resort. Brand new blue signs, which match the deep blue that has been associated with the resort's 50th anniversary celebration, have been installed on the roadway, replacing the former purple and red signs that were erected in the 1990s. In addition to having an updated color scheme, these blue signs also feature directions to the upcoming Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser hotel experience, which is opening in just a few weeks on March the 1st, and the newly recapitalized Epcot stylization. Because there are more than 1,000 signs across the resort's property, changing all of the iconic purple and red signage will likely take some time, but expect to see more blue signs pop up in the near future as Disney continues to modernize and reimagine the look of Walt Disney World during its 50th anniversary celebration. Our big thanks to MSN.com for that story. And, Gared, I am not of the mind that thinks this is something worth stressing about or being concerned about. But my goodness, if Disney Twitter and Disney social media didn't have a meltdown over this concept of losing the purple and red signs.
Heaven forbid we change a color. Before we go into the color, I like how they capitalized Epcot because it is an anagram. It's experimental prototype community of tomorrow. It should be capitalized.
Good point.
So good for that. I'm not going to complain over a sign changing colors. Like, yes, the purple is classic, but the blue looks very classy. And if you look at the other photo where behind it, you see another blue, green, and red sign. I want there to be symmetry amongst all the signs. Like, pick a color scheme or something. But I'm not going to complain over a sign being blue. It looks good. I'm sure in the rain it's going to be very, very bad, but I don't know. They have lights for a reason. It's just a color to me. It matches the theming for the 50th, and I think it looks pretty good.
But is it whimsical enough, Gared?
I don't know. This is what plagues me at night. This is why I have nightmares. Is it whimsical enough? I could go either way. Purple is awesome. Blue is beautiful. Why can't we all just it's a sign, people. It's a sign. We don't need to worry about the color so much as are there directions being given and are they accurate? It's private property. They can do what they want as long as we're not changing it to something that is like neon yellow and rainbow translucent holograms and I can't see it. We're good.
To me, it does what it needs to do. It informs you and gets you to where you need to be. However, I mean, for nostalgia purposes, of course, I'm going to miss those purple signs because it's kind of an indication that, hey, I'm in Disney World. Look at me. Hey, it's different. It's not like those hideous green signs you see in most states around the country. It's fun. It's silly. It looks like Figment. Oh, how adorable. But yeah, these blue ones, they do have sort of they are classy looking, but they're very professional and not so whimsical. So, as long as there's consistency, I agree. It's odd that they decided, hey, now's the time. We need to match the archways. So
as long as the signs don't go to the highway and freeway green and white, I'm cool. I like the yellow. I like the blue. I like the darker blue. I'm surprised they didn't throw some purple in there, but yeah, as long as the sign does what it needs to do, which is get me from point A to point B, I'm cool with it. But we'll just wait to see what Twitter has to say.
So cool. Well, we have heard from them. They aren't happy. All right. And before we wrap things up, as a reminder, if you are somebody who has loved this broadcast, we want to love you back. We want you to be the proud owner of a Kingdom Report mug. All you got to do to win is leave the comment Festival of Fantasy. That is the phrase that pays this week. Under this video on our YouTube channel, The Kingdom Report on YouTube. As soon as the live video is over, you're able to leave a comment underneath the video. That is when you'll leave the phrase that pays, Festival of Fantasy. As long as you leave that between now and Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time, you will be entered for a chance to win. We'll select the winner at random, and if you are indeed the winner, we'll reach out to you directly and ask you for some information and get your favorite colored mug on the way to your homestead. Gared, before we get out of here, anything Disney related, anything on your mind when it comes to the Disney universe that you want to get off your chest?
Just that I like how Cosmic Rewind is coming more together. If you haven't seen it, they've been putting together the Nova Star Blaster out there, and it looks, or Starfighter, I forget, but it looks incredible. However, there's again controversy around the metal frame that is standing upon, because they're like, I thought it was going to be free floating. It's not done yet, folks. Give it some time. Let's see if it actually is there. If it's still there, then we can, grab our pitchforks and our torches and go to the Beast Castle and kill the beast.
Kill the beast.
Kill the beast. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to how Cosmic Rewind and Tron are coming more alive. Tron's been adding some pieces to their canopy, and I've been all about that thing since I saw dirt getting moved in that area. So bring it on, because I do want to go to Shanghai Disney and experience it. But if I can experience it here for a lot cheaper, I prefer that. But no, that's all I got. Thanks all for tuning in, and it's been a pleasure for me.
Well, it's been a pleasure for me as well. We want to thank you all for being a part of today's live show, or if you're watching on demand, thank you so much for getting to this point in the broadcast. As always, if you're watching on demand, make sure to leave your comments underneath this video, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube, and share your thoughts on the stories and topics that we covered here today. As always, we look forward to hearing your perspective, and we always make an attempt to try and respond. For the Kingdom Report, and for Gared Hassel, I'm Wade Heath. We will see you next time for another installment of Disney News Talk Live.